things I want to mention just a couple things before we get started in our text this morning, which is in Hebrews 7. I wanted to mention this last week, but I didn't feel like we had time to do it. But one of my favorite verses is Micah 6, 7, and 8. And so what it says is, like, it says, you say, what can I bring with me when I come before the Lord? What can I bring when I bow before God on high? Should I come before the Lord with burnt offerings, with year-old calves? Will the Lord be pleased with 1,000 male sheep? Will he be pleased with 10,000 rivers of oil? And should I give my first child for the evil I have done? Should I give my very own child for my sin? And then it says, the Lord has told you what is good. He has told you what he wants from you. Do what is right to other people. Love being kind to others. And live humbly trusting your God. And I find that text like super interesting because we're not even in the New Testament yet. We're still in the Old Testament here at this moment. And so it is obviously common to offer sacrifices to the Lord, right? But yet, it's like God saying, I don't want that. I want you to demonstrate worship, not just worship me. And Jesus says, he comes along and says, hey, whatever you do to these, to other people, it's as if you're doing it to me. So being kind and serving one another, helping the helpless. And when we do these things, when our faith is turned to action, and when we do these things to help other people, is as if we are doing it to Jesus himself. And it is an act of worship. And I love, don't get me wrong, I love times like this when we gather together and we worship together. We have worship services. So don't get me wrong, but what I love even more, and this is the case even when I was a worship pastor as a vocation, right? And so I even love this text, is that God, it was always a reminder that, hey, it isn't just about a worship service, it's about services of worship. And we gather together so that we can scatter and serve other people. And as we do that, to Jesus. And I know for our third Sunday is like Serve Sunday. And I think for some people it can, I don't know if it's necessarily in our church or anything, but I do kind of get a sense sometimes that we see Serve Sunday as kind of like a lesser kind of thing. That maybe it doesn't count as worship. And it's honestly from this text on, to me, this is not the, I don't think we need to minimize like that. Obviously, Serve Sunday is just something we do corporately, but obviously we should be serving and worshiping in acts of service every single day. Because love talked about is easily ignored, but love demonstrated is irresistible. Love talked about is easily ignored, but love demonstrated is irresistible. So I love our times where we are serving the community. In fact, that was one of the goals when we started this church was if we're going to do anything right, it's I want the city to miss us if we weren't around.